Yes! Did I nail my predictions from Friday or what? I said 2-2 in all the big derbies, and let me just double check the scores really quick, and it was 2-0 and 0-0 and 2-1 and 2-0, and all right, fine. I didn't nail them, but let me explain why on the Weekend and Rewind, or as I like to call it, Word. Okay, so how did I or anyone else know that Arsenal were going to play their best game of the season in their 2-0 win over Spurs, and that the referees were going to actually make calls in the Gunners' favor, or that Spurs' best player, Harry Kane, looked like he was carrying an injury, or that Spurs' other best players, Dele Alli and Christian Eriksen, decided not to show up, and that their manager, Mauricio Pochettino, was going to take 70 minutes to bring on Sonaldo? I mean, I am a predicting genius, you guys know this, but even I couldn't predict that all of these things were gonna happen besides the Gunners scoring 2 goals. I definitely knew that was gonna happen, nor can I predict what's gonna happen to Arsenal now. Are they gonna kick on and have a strong run through the toughest part of the season, only to break the hearts of their supporters at the end? Or is this just a one-off and the peak of their season? Or is that kind of the same thing? They have FC Cologne on Thursday in the Europa League before heading to play Burnley, who are tied with the Gunners on points, and probably the biggest surprise of the Premier League season so far. So I'm going to wait to see how the Gunners get through this next week before I make any bold claims like, how's this for a bold claim? How it doesn't matter what Arsenal end up doing because Manchester City have already run away with the league, and Kevin De Bruyne is the best player in the Premier League, and he's probably going to win the Premier League Player of the Year award. Yeah? Is that pretty bold, or is it kind of like the obvious at this point? Because it might be way too early to say something like this. You know, with Manchester United welcoming the headlines, Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Paul Pogba back into the team, and with Eden Hazard looking like Eden Hazard again for Chelsea in this past month. He's been very good. I don't know. But what I do know is that it's probably way too early to say that Barcelona is going to win La Liga, but because they have a 10-point lead on both Madrid clubs after both Madrid clubs couldn't score any goals in the Madrid derby in their 0-0 draw this weekend, which I predicted correctly. By the way, I knew they were going to draw. It's going to be up to second place Valencia, who are only 4 points behind Barca after winning their 8th straight league game, to actually put some pressure on Messi and his friends. And speaking of one of Messi's friends, Luis Suarez, who was in a bit of a rut, scored 2 goals this past weekend against Leganes, and I just feel like they're going to be hard to stop if he's feeling it. But Valencia hosts Barcelona this upcoming weekend, so as crazy as this sounds, if Valencia loses, I mean, the La Liga title could be all wrapped up. And yes, I know Barcelona fans are going to hate me for jinxing them, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just giving credit where credit is due. Going high five, butt tap, give me a fist, way to go. Or maybe I'm jinxing you. And if I'm jinxing you, I'm really sorry. That would suck. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. And then in Italy, wow, what a crazy fucking weekend. My prediction of Roma-Lazio drawing 2-2 was so close. Roma won 2-1 and were probably the deserved winners, which helped them leapfrog past their hated rivals Lazio and into 4th place. Only 1 point behind the 5-time reigning champions Juventus after Juve, who dominated most of the game against Sampdoria, despite not starting Gigi Buffon or Paulo Dybala. That's a fun fact for you. Gave up 3 goals in 20 minutes before scoring 2 in injury time to lose 3-2, which means it was up to Napoli to beat AC Milan to start to create a gap at the top, and they did it 2-1 with 2 somewhat questionable goals, especially the first one by Lorenzo Insigne, who seemed to be very, very offside, but the ref went to the VAR and he deemed it to be on, and the goal stood. And I had no idea that they were using VAR for those kind of plays, so that's pretty cool. But obviously, what's not cool is AC Milan, who not only lost their 6th game out of 13 so far this season, I'm not actually sure why their manager Vincenzo Montella still has a job, or how it's possible. They also watched one of their rivals, Inter Milan, beat Atalanta 2-0 to see Inter leapfrog over Juve in the standings to sit in 2nd, only 2 points behind Napoli. And honestly, that's what I'm talking about, Serie A. You're exciting to watch this season. And that is probably for the best, since your national team didn't qualify for the World Cup So having something else to talk about is probably a good thing. And the last derby I predicted to be 2-2 was between first place Monterrey and second place Tigres in Liga MX, and it ended up being a 2-0 win for Monterrey, which means that Monterrey gets the top seed and home field advantage in the playoffs, including hosting the final if they make it, which is obviously a pretty big deal. And at the bottom of the playoffs, the last team to make it in was Atlas, who tried to give the spot away, desperately tried to give the spot away after drawing 3 out of their last 4 games, but Necaxa didn't want to take advantage by losing their last 2 games to finish 1 point out of the playoffs, which is no mommy's way, which is kind of what I want to say to myself because I sucked at predictions this week, but I mean, it could have been worse. I could have been Borussia Dortmund, who lost in Stuttgart 2-1, which is their 3rd straight loss and their 4th in the last 5 games, which drops them down to 5th. Do you guys remember when they started the season in Fuego and they didn't give up any goals, and now it's a complete dumpster fire there, and Aubameyang wants out, they're not going to get out of their Champions League group, and could the last few months be any worse for our American Lord and Savior, Christian Pulisic? Because both of his situations for club and country have taken a drastic turn for the worst, which is like the exact opposite for Robert Lewandowski. Because with his club Bayern Munich, they have yet to lose since Jupp Heynckes took over for Carlo Ancelotti. And they now have a 6-point lead on top of the table in the Bundesliga over Schalke and RB Leipzig. And then for his country Poland, they qualified for the World Cup behind his many, many goals. In fact, he has 22 goals in 23 games for club and country this season, which makes me wonder, can we get him over here to play for America? Who do I need to talk to make that happen? But let's switch to the positive side of things and throw out some praise instead. And no, wait, I can't. We gotta do it. Now, you know what could be worse? You could hire David Moyes to save your club, and in his first game in charge, he loses to Watford. And then afterwards, he has the audacity to ask for the supporters and the club to be united at this difficult time. I mean, what is he, the team therapist now? Poor West Ham fans. I feel bad for you guys. Okay, now we're gonna be positive, and we're gonna start with Mohamed Salah, who, after his brace against Southampton and Liverpool's comprehensive 3-0 win, he now has 9 league goals for the Reds and only his 12th league appearance for the club, which makes him the fastest player to do so by surpassing Robbie Fowler, who had 8 goals in his first 12 league games, which then, based on this stat and many other things, could make Salah one of the best signings in the Premier League this season, or maybe he's already the best. I'll let you guys decide. And while you're deciding, I want to show some love to my favorite team in the A-League, the Brisbane who finally won their first game of the season, a huge 3-1 win over Melbourne City. And what about Istanbul Başakşehir in Turkey? The dudes were 3 points behind league leaders Galatasaray heading into their game this weekend against, you guessed it, Galatasaray, and they whatted them 5-1 behind a hat-trick from, you guessed it, Emmanuel Adebayor. And no, you didn't guess that, you silly cheeky bastards, nice try. And now Başakşehir is on top of the table and full of confidence, so congrats to them on that. And then in Argentina, 15th place Racing did the unthinkable and beat the undefeated top of the table leaders Boca Juniors in Boca's famous stadium La Bombonera 2-1 on 2 incredible goals. And the link to these highlights, along with all the rest of the games that I've mentioned, will be in the description so you can see these 2 goals. And they're great setups, great movement off the ball, and great finishes. Just a lot of greatness all around, and you should watch them. And finally, before I get to the Copa Libertadores final, the AFC Champions League final, and the MLS semifinals previews, and then the winners for Football Manager 18. And for the Warm Baller starter kits, I want to give it up to Corinthians in Brazil, who clinched the Brasileiro title last week, which is their 7th overall, and which puts them in 3rd all time. 1 behind Santos, who are in 2nd on 8 titles, and 2 behind Palmeiras, who've won the title 9 times. So congrats to Corinthians on that. Or I think you guys say parabéns, 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 congrats. I'm trying. But enough of that, let's do some previewing. And first up will be the Copa Libertadores final between Lanús from Argentina and Grêmio from Brazil. But before we break down this 2-legged affair, I want to say rest in peace to the club with only 1 player, Jorge Wisterman, who I was so proud of for making it to the quarterfinals, where he actually won the first leg at home 3-0 over River Plate, but then in the return leg, he lost 8-0, which makes sense, right? When you're only 1 person. and you're down 10 guys, I mean, you're gonna get tired at some point. And then River, who won the Copa Libertadores as recently as 2015, played Lanús in the semifinals, and they got beat 4-3 over 2 legs. And now Lanús is Argentina's great hope to bring the trophy back to their country. However, Grêmio are no slouches. They're currently in second in the Brasileiro with 2 games left in the season, and they've been quietly and consistently solid in this competition to find themselves in the final, despite losing one of their best attacking players in Pedro Rocha to Spartak Moscow. And that's mainly because, while they're still going to be good, the spine of their team remains strong. And that must be a concern for Lanús because with Marcelo Grohi in goal, Jeromel anchoring the defense, Arthur pulling the strings in midfield, and Luan leading the attack, it means that Grêmio are still a force to be reckoned with. And I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to win 3-2 over 2 legs. And now for the AFC Champions League final preview of Leg 2. After the Urawa Red Diamonds left Saudi Arabia with a 1-1 draw in Leg 1 against Al Hilal, which means I think this is Urawa's final to lose because they got the all-important road goal and because Al Hilal's influential Brazilian midfielder Carlos Eduardo left Leg 1 with a knee injury, so he's a doubt for Leg 2. But Al Hilal have yet to lose a game in this competition, so they definitely have the proper mindset going into this, and they have the top scorer in this competition as well in Syria international Omar Kurban, who has scored 9 goals in 12 AFC Champions League games this season. So maybe it's possible. I just find it tough to believe that Urawa is going to lose this game in front of their home fans for the right to become champions. I just don't see that happening. And now for the MLS semifinals previews. Let's start with the Western Conference and the defending champions, the Seattle Sounders, taking on the team I said wouldn't even make the playoffs because I'm an idiot, the Houston Dynamo. So let's do some fun facts. And fun fact number 1 is that the first leg of this 2-legged affair is in Houston tomorrow night. And the Sounders have never won in Houston before. But fun fact number 2, 3 of Houston's best attacking players, Albert Ellis, Romel Kyoto, and Oscar Boniek Garcia, and I'm pretty sure I butchered all of their names, are all Honduran. So not only do they not qualify for the World Cup after losing to Australia, they also had to fly back from down under, which is a pretty long and tiring trip. I did it earlier this year, so I know firsthand. So we'll see how they perform both mentally and physically. And then, fun fact number 3, with the long international break breaking up the rhythm of the MLS playoffs, I believe it's become a huge advantage to the Sounders, who have used this downtime, or at least should have used this downtime, to help heal some of their best players, like Ozzy Alonso and Jordan Morris, back from their injuries, which should give the Sounders, who have been in good form as of late, even more confidence to defend their title, which I think, and I'm sorry Dynamo fans, the Sounders are going to do. They're going to do it. I think they're going to get past you and your team to get to the final. But they're going to face either the Columbus Austin Crew or Toronto FC. Now there are a few storylines in this matchup here to discuss, like the owner of the Crew threatening to move the team to Austin, Texas next season, which is looking more and more like a reality. So it'd be very cool to see the Crew win MLS Cup in Columbus in their potential last ever game in the city. And then on the Toronto side, if they win MLS Cup, they will become the first club in MLS history to win the treble, since Toronto has already won the Canadian Cup competition and the Supporters' Shield as the MLS team with the best regular season record. But these are the bigger overarching stories that are happening with both of these clubs. Because the real story about this matchup in particular is the fact that Josie Altidore, who got a red card against the Red Bulls in the last playoff game, and Sebastian Giovinco, who has yellow card accumulation, are both out for Leg 1 in Columbus, which the Crew used to great effect in the last round of these playoffs when they beat NYCFC 4-1 at home and then held on in New York to only lose 2-0 and advance 4-3 on aggregate. And I think I can see them doing it again and taking advantage of Toronto being without 2 of their best attacking players and best players overall. And I think destiny is set. So I think the Crew are going to get past Toronto so that they will host MLS Cup. That's what I'm feeling inside. So yes, I'm sorry Toronto FC fans. Even though I think you're the better team, the fate of the Columbus Crew is in your way. And yes, it is now time to announce some winners, and thank you for waiting patiently. And I'm going to reward your patience because Football Manager is giving me 4 codes to give away. So I can pick 4 winners instead of 2, which is awesome. And I'll give away 2 Warren Baller starter kits instead of 1 to 2 people who picked the right score for Arsenal Spurs because I'm in a giving mood. And we're gonna start with the 4 winners for Football Manager. And honestly, this was so hard to pick only 4 of you because some of your breakdowns about which formation is the best to use were fantastic. Honestly, they were really, really good. And it gives me hope about the future of coaching in this whole entire world. Not just my country, but in the whole entire world. But sadly, I only have 4 to give away. And the winners, courtesy of the fine people of Football Manager, are PJ, who placated my love for the 4-4-2 with a thoughtful answer, as did Rah, that's a mad ting, so you'll get one as well. And then Snow wrote a book in favor of the 4-2-3-1, so you're gonna get one as well. And then finally, Mate Danielle, who got all philosophical on me before throwing his weight behind the 4-3-3. And I really appreciated that. So congrats, guys. And to make this easy, please drop me a message on YouTube so I can verify that it is in fact you. As for everyone else, this is your friendly reminder that I am having a huge subscriber giveaway, my first one ever, on Thursday. So make sure you subscribe. Hit that button right now so you can be entered to win. I'm giving away a PS4 Pro and some jerseys that I used to wear, and maybe that bobblehead that's sitting over there. It's a collector's item, and some BFF packages. I'll give you guys those details later, and it's just all happening, and it's gonna be awesome, and you should subscribe. And now I'm gonna name the 2 people, 1, 2, who won the Warm Baller Starters Kit, and congrats, by the way, on believing in the Arsenal, because there wasn't many that did believe in them in the comments. And they are, drumroll please, Kenneth Orozco and Petri Von Holla. So congrats to both of you, and hit me up on the YouTube messages with your address and your shirt size and then what shirt you want. So go to warmballers.com and take a look, because we have 6 shirts to choose from now, and a hat and some stickers, and yeah, make it happen. All right, I'm done talking because I can't do it anymore. I feel like I talked about every single league in the whole entire world, but I guess I'll be doing some more talking tomorrow for Career Mode, suckers. Later.